Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. It is the 4th of the month, which means it is time for the forgery on the 4th project as part of the Counterfeit Kit Challenge design team. And what that means is once we build our own scrapbooking kits, we are inspired by products in those kits to forge or DIY our own products. So let's dive in. The first thing I'm going to be inspired by is this family cut file, and since I design my own cut files and I usually offer them up to everybody for free, I'm going to take inspiration from that cut file, but I'm not going to directly copy that cut file. So I have that and a couple of other cut file pieces to share, so let's do that first. And then I'll have a couple of small tutorials for you after that. All right, here is my take on that family cut file. I did change it up, change the font, made it more of a frame with a heart, and I do have this secondary piece of the word that you can cut out of a different pattern paper and overlay it, and here I offset it for a nice little shadow effect. All right, next up is the ticket cut files. These are part of a larger cut file set that I designed and gave away for free just a couple weeks ago. This one, what I did was I took the tickets and just cut them as is, but I used one of the layers to the tickets to draw with my Cricut and a pen tool. Now, when I tried drawing with a non-branded Cricut pen, a white gel pen, it didn't work so well. So your mileage may vary, but that is what I did with that cut file. Now, as part of that same release, I have this ticket frame, which is designed to go exactly with these tickets that you can overlay and offset and shadow like I showed with the family, or layer up and add extra pieces. But at any rate, I'm going to add all of this stuff to my kit, and it's all for free on my blog, so I will link you up to that. Now, let's move on to the tutorials. So I was very inspired by these fabric arrows, and I did use my CRICUT Maker to cut out a bunch of different fabric types from polar fleece to felt to cotton, and I cut a bunch of different sizes out. But if you don't have a way to cut it on an electronic machine, use dies or even draw a template on a piece of cardstock and then trace it onto your fabric and cut it out that way. And then I'm going to kind of zhuzh them up a little bit to make them match my kit a little bit more, since I did cut most of these in white. Now, how I'm going to zhuzh them up is by using alcohol ink, because the alcohol ink will dye just about any type of fabric out there. And I did do some color swatching here so that I could get a sense of what colors I wanted to use. Now, I did make a mess while I was color swatching, and I have alcohol in a spray bottle. You want to be very careful about alcohol in a spray bottle because you don't want to get it in your eyes and you don't want to breathe it. So I usually kind of hold my breath for a moment as I spray, and then I kind of fan away the excess fumes before I take another breath, just to be on the safe side, because it is not good for your lungs. All right, as I am inking up these different fabric arrows, I am going to also wet my fabric with either some alcohol, which is what I did in this case, or some plain water. I use the alcohol for the thicker fabrics because this is alcohol ink. That's going to help move the pigments faster, and it'll soak into the fibers of those thick fabrics. And I think that works just a little bit better, but try the things and see what you like if you want to do this tutorial. So this one is just a plain cotton fabric. I did back it with a bonding material for cutting reasons. And I do have a whole video on cutting fabric on your Cricut. So if you want to give this a try, I should say I have a CRICUT Maker, which uses a special cutting blade, but there are machines that can use special fabric cutting blades to cut this, and your mileage may vary for sure with trying fabric on your machine. At any rate, I'll link you up to that video if you're interested. Like I said, you can just make a template and trace and then cut that way. So here I am doing some different ombres. You saw me do a green and teal blended ombre, and here I'm doing this kind of magenta plum shaded ombre as I work on these fabric arrows. So I'm just trying to zhuzh them up and make them match my kit just a little bit more, and using white fabric is a great way to do that. All right, the final thing I have to share with you is some of these DIY enamel dots, and I'm going to accomplish that with these clear Nuvo crystal drops. Now you can use any clear gluey kind of product that you want and see if you can get it to work. I am going to embed a whole bunch of things in these because while this was the idea I started off with, it was to create my own quote unquote gold flaking. I'm not sure how it's going to work, so I did choose some other goodies to play with. Now, if you don't have this dried up gold mixed media like I have, any goldy mixed media product like watercolor paint, you can scrape off scrapings or squeeze out any liquid mixed media goldy products, let it dry, and then try scraping it to see if you can make your own flakes. All right, that being said, I am getting ready to set up my drop products here. I am testing out some various tools to see which ones I'm going to want to use on this, from tweezers to a paintbrush to just a regular kind of embellishment wand. And so I'm going to start off with a base of goodies and then put my drops on top of that. And then I will add more goodies into the wet drops. And then I will seal them all up with another layer of the wet drops. So that is the whole entire process. The paintbrush that I have here is just a cheapy paintbrush that I can simply rinse in the sink when I'm done, but it is working great for this glittery product. It's a larger, it's not even really glitter, it's kind of a rectangles of this sparkle, and the static on the paintbrush is working great to pick that up, and then I can tap the paintbrush and tap it back off. So if you want to try a glitter product, you can try the paintbrush method and see if that works for you. Like I said, I started off with a goodie, and then I put my liquid drops on top, and here I am just dropping, I am not touching any of my tools into this wet goo, just dropping those goodies onto the top of the wet liquid. And then as I was working with it, I noticed it started to dimple the liquid. So that is when I decided to go ahead and put that next layer on top to kind of help seal everything in. And I think that that's a good idea anyway, because especially these chunky little star embellishments that I have in various shades could end up kind of being pokey through the top of that medium. So at any rate, I sealed them all up, and I'm adding more goodies to all of these things, and I will do a variety of these. And here's where I was like, I want more sparkle in these. So that paintbrush, I just dipped it straight into the glittery bin, and that came out fantastic. So the last thing I am doing is that gold quote unquote flaking that I made. So we'll see how all these come up, or how they all come out when they are dry, and we'll take a look at that next. You can see this is the next day. They're totally dry, but some of them needed a little bit of cleanup. The chunky glitter and the gold flaking, especially the little tiny sequins, or kind of, sequin stars did the best, I think, of all of these. And I will give you a little bit of a close-up. I will save all that extra little glittery dust magic to use for something in the future. I'm not quite sure what, but here is what they look like, and actually I'll show you a still photo as well because that shows off the sparkle even better. So here is a close-up of all of them on one photo, and my favorite were the stars, which had some awesome sparkle. These ones came out okay. They look better in the photo than I think they do in person. At any rate, that is the end of this video. I hope you got some ideas out of how to create your own embellishments. And I should be back probably next week with a layout process video. So until then, I hope you have an artful day.